Senator Lamar Alexander happens to be one of Trump's fierce allies who has been named responsible for leading the effort to reopen the country after the pandemic, or as we've been seeing, during the pandemic. But now he's self-quarantining because one of his staffers tested positive for the virus. So his chief of staff spoke to The Hill, and here's what we know. David Cleary says, after discussing this with the Senate's attending physician, Senator Alexander, out of an abundance of caution, has decided not to return to Washington, D.C. and will self-quarantine in Tennessee for 14 days. Now, Senator Alexander also appears to be somewhat alarmed about the severity of coronavirus, which is something that I hope he keeps in mind as he leads the effort to prematurely open the country back up. He was quoted as saying this: there ought to be enough tests to test 535 members of Congress who come to one of the nation's coronavirus hotspots before they go back home around the country and infect people in their districts. Now, I'm going to wait and see what the reaction is going to be from the Trump administration, because he's clearly pointing to the lack of available testing. What I do know is he's already attempted to kind of backpedal and just walk back his comments, because we know that Trump isn't going to like that kind of statement. So here he is walking back what he previously said about the lack of testing.
You have been calling for expanded testing for members of Congress. And there were reports, you said you were wearing a mask, but that several members were not wearing masks, nor were some Capitol police officers. Do you feel safe in the Capitol?
Oh, I think it's safe. Most everyone I see is wearing a mask. Maybe some were not. I know that senators, even when we see each other, we stay 6 feet apart. We're practicing, by and large, the protocols. What I said was that I thought we ought to accept President Trump's offer to test members of Congress who are here before they go home for the weekend. Not so much to protect the members of Congress, but to protect the people they might infect.
No, I love the way he just twisted that to make it seem like, and it's actually pretty masterful, right? Just make it seem like Trump is the one who wants expanded testing for people. He's the one fighting and pushing for it. So that way he can kind of avoid Trump's wrath, which we know is coming.
Yeah, the wrath is coming. But Trump doesn't really care if you guys get tested, but he does want more people around him tested. So it's not untrue that he would rather have congressmen and senators tested more. He's just against testing in general, because then you're going to find out a lot more people have coronavirus. But he himself, of course, doesn't want to get it. He doesn't want his Republican allies to get it, or anyone in the elites. So, my God, if he found out his donors are getting it, then we'd have completely different situation in America. But the great part of the Lamar Alexander story is he's heading up a committee to reopen the country, and now he has to do it from self-quarantine. And so he's going to zoom into the committee hearings. Look, I'm not going outside. You're crazy, dog. But the rest of you, let's talk about how you guys should go outside and go back to work. Go back to work. No, I'm quarantining down in Tennessee in my comfortable home. I ain't going to Washington, D.C. I ain't going to work. You're crazy. And then meanwhile, by the way, at the same hearing, the head of the FDA quarantine will be I don't know if it's Zoom or Skype, but doing it on video. Head of the CDC, quarantined, doing it on video. Dr. Fauci, there's conflicting reports. He might or might not show up in person. He's doing a quasi-quarantine. So, wow, already before the hearings even started, it sounds so convincing that we should all go back out and start reopening America.
It's insane. And unfortunately, there are already states that have opened back up. Texas is one of them. And just over the weekend, there were literally hundreds of people at a party, a gathering at a park. And we don't know why yet, but someone ended up opening fire and 5 people were wounded. But what happened to, oh, no, don't worry. We're reopening, but we're going to do it responsibly. We're going to implement the distancing guidelines. We're going to make sure that we keep people safe. No, you're not. That's not what's happening in Texas. That's not what's happening in Georgia. That's not what's happening in many of the states that have decided to reopen. And unfortunately, we are seeing a spike in the number of people testing positive for coronavirus in those states. And the markets react to that. If the Trump administration only cares about what the numbers are, how the economy is impacted by it, well, the markets are reacting negatively to this uptick in coronavirus cases in states that have prematurely opened. How did they not see this coming? Like, it's amazing to me.
Yeah, well, how did they not see 1,000 things coming? But you wonder why there was a shooting in a park in Texas. Well, number one, because it's America. Number two, because it's Texas. And number three, people haven't been able to shoot someone in a long time, and the Americans are getting antsy. So maybe a slight positive side effect coronavirus is there's been less mass shootings because people are indoors. But the minute we let them out in Texas, oh, great, a lot of people are in a park. Let's start shooting. This country is crazy in 18 different ways.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.